To start off Comedy Central here, Chip. All right, got a lot to cover today. Let's see if I can find the sharing buttons. That would be. Did you guys see Zoom updated their UI and it's like I don't know. It's like sharing controls used to be very easy and now they're all anyway. All right. So we'll start off with wins. We got a lot here, Chip. Wins, we'll go to Adam and Leron on AI chatbot. Following Leron's star appearance, which we will talk a little bit about on the cyber call. People are loving that. A lot of downloads. I think we're around on all the platforms over 500 right now. And that now we're going to talk about another fun backdoor scenario with AI. We'll talk about Ben's new vibe coding skills. Ben, I didn't know you had the merch. That's at the so we'll have to talk about the merch at the website as well. So anyway, let's get on into it. With some wins, Chip. Anything exciting? Well, we certainly could talk about the you and Leron on the cyber call because that was to me a win.
Um, let's first start with, do we have any wins from everybody on the call this
Yeah,
week?
for sure.
Enrique's got his hand up. He always has a win. You are the winningest player
I
in the
haven't
SaaS
had
call
one
universe.
in a while.
Go ahead, Enrique.
And I'm really glad we got this win because I think we got the loss as well. So we migrated Avalon tenants. Well, let me start to the win and then I'll tell you the why. We got SaaS Alerts responding on adversary in the middle. We actually had two platforms respond at very similar times. And a day after we discovered Avalon uses transport rules in exchange to move the emails into their inline check and then put them back. Somehow those rules on 4 tenants got deleted. One of those tenants being the one that suffered an adversary in the middle attack, which I believe got through because checkpoint Avalon was off. So we didn't delete the rules. It was a checkpoint thing. They're still investigating how that happened. But yeah, I think that led to then that user to get the email and click, and then went and did the regular stuff they do in the world, get fished. But yeah, it was a great win. Even greater when we knew we could have been part of the problem.
So the summary of the win is one tool failed and SaaS Alerts picked up the slack and kept your
Yes,
customer safe, and you're still the hero.
yes, yes.
That's a win. I'd call that a
It is
win.
Yeah.
a mega win.
So what's happening with that tool there, Enrique?
So they were able to push via API. Last night, Checkpoint did and recreated the rules on that tenant. They kept on insisting. Two customers started complaining they were getting a lot of spam and a lot of junk and stuff, but like crazy. So at least now they know email protection above Microsoft does do a good job. But so they were complaining, so I had to take it open with Checkpoint, and they're like, everything's normal. And it just got to the point that I'm like, guys, this is not normal. These are the previous reports for the last 8 weeks. There's something wrong. So it finally led me to check the transport rules on one tenant because I know that's what they use. And there was no transport rules. And I look at another tenant, and I went through all the tenants with SIP to check the transport rules, and 4 of 40 did not have it. So Avalon had us migrate from one Avalon console to another Avalon console, which is like a fresh new start. So when we remove the first Avalon, that removes transport rules. When we deploy the second Avalon, a new fresh start should create these rules. They claim that the rules are not created, Avalon will not install successfully and they'll give an error. Well, that did not happen on 4 tenants. So they're investigating that as of last night. But the good thing is, rules are up. We immediately saw the difference of catching
This
stuff.
Chip, this and not to be, really hokey here, but it really does enunciate a defense in depth strategy. Really, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's you have to have different layers of security, and great job, Enrique. I think that's so a great case study for that. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. So Corey, there you go. There's your presentation for Epicor. Done.
Finished. Complete.
Yeah.
I like it.
Hey, take a
I,
screenshot, then you got your slide deck right there.
That's it.
I could go live if you need me, Corey.
Yeah.
I'm available.
All right, who else? We got any other wins out there or interesting case studies from the week in cyber on the front lines in the MSP universe?
More reCAPTCHA, fake reCAPTCHA attacks are still happening and people are still falling for it. I don't know how, don't know why, but people are still falling for it. Let me just paste this code into my run command because that's what I'm expecting to do. And
So a lot of click fix still, Corey.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, that every threat report, yet another one out this week, and kudos to Field Effect. They actually did a pretty decent job on their. I'll show a little bit of it today, but yeah, same thing. The number one thing again, Chip, identity.
Yep.
Every single report keeps, any company that is in this space that is getting lots of telemetry. I'm sure Verizon, as soon as it comes out, is going to be the same. So interesting.
It carries on. Anybody else?
All right, Chip,
Wow.
you're up.
Quiet bunch.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my personal win of the week is I only got 4 speeding tickets that I have to pay off from text messages this week. So, that one for whatever reason just like really ramped up. All I had to do was, copy and paste and close that text message and open it in my browser and I was all set. So I was paid up. So there's my
Do
win.
they offer like a firm for payment?
Chuck, if
You guys have all seen the
if
scam,
SaaS
right? I know
Alerts
we
could
talked
come up
about it.
with a mobile device filter for spam texts, you'd make millions.
We've been researching that, Andy. I think, as you know, but that effort is kind of stalled right now, if I'm to be honest about it. Other good win of the week on the Kaseya global front is we have officially. I'm going to claim it's on the back of Liron and Ben and all of their wonderful experience, but Kaseya is officially now turning to Claude Code as our supervising platform for engineering, which I feel really, really good about. I'm glad we've decided to make that investment. It can't come fast enough. SaaS Alerts has been on this for 2 years now, but the rest of the companies follow. I think we've realized that GitHub Copilot powered by OpenAI is not where we need to be, and we need to get in and play with the big boys. So I feel pretty good about that win.
That's interesting. After we showed that, you remember that chart last week, Chip, of the revenue from
Yeah.
Claude and OpenAI, the complete inverse of the two.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys saw, but I think yesterday OpenAI announced they're gonna shelf their video
Yes, Sora.
Yeah.
platform.
Sora.
Shockingly, they're investing in other things. No more side quests, they said. They're divesting from their core function as a company, and Claude, which has from the very beginning had their niche, which is we're going to go after developers and we're going to go after them as hard as we can. Shockingly, their product is better. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you
Wow.
can't be all things to all people. Wow.
I got a kick out of XAI's response to OpenAI. Like the next post I saw in my X feed was X saying, and we're going to double down on XAI Imagine. So apparently they still want to be distracted by, kitten videos or whatever the heck people are making with that stuff. Like there's not enough AI slop out there already, but there you go.
Wow. All right. All right, Chip, should we move on to Liron and Adam?
I think we should.
Okay. Floor is your guys.
Liron, were you here for the agenda? Do you know what you're talking about?
sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm just playing the Where's My Tab game right now. So I just need okay, I got it. I'm with you guys.
Yeah. Well played, Ben. Well played.
All right, can you guys see my screen?
We
Yes.
can.
All right. So I apologize for those of you that saw this yesterday. Um, but I just want to let everyone know that we've talked about our AI agent for quite some time. We've talked about the beta. We are ready for the beta, except our legal team has asked us to ask you wonderful beta participants to sign some documentation or to do the approval thing. So we need to get that into the application. And as soon as we get that done, we have a list that Beyond was kind enough to put together. And Maya also provided some input as well. So if you guys are on the beta for this, thank you. We look forward to getting you access as soon as possible. We just need to get those terms up in front of you so you can agree to them. But the high level picture here is most agents are actually one agent with a bunch of sub agents underneath it. And the simplified version of our agent is we have what we call our interrogation agent, which allows you to ask questions like, what did this user do? Right. And it's talking to the data. And then there's this shortcut here, which allows you to view the data in the analysis table. And then the other thing that we've added is we have now connected our agent to the knowledge base. So all of the knowledge base articles that exist out there, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like reading 12-page articles about whatever it is I want to do. I would rather interrogate that article and have it provided the information to me in the way that I want to consume it. So this is just an example from yesterday. How do I onboard a new organization? It comes in and it gives you how to do that. And then over here, we're still testing it, right? But one of the most common things I hear is, I've never heard of Fortify. What does it do? Well, now you can just ask the agent, what does Fortify do? And it actually will tell you exactly what the product does. So we hope that this is something that is going to make your lives easier. It's all being presented in a centralized interface where using the same agent, you can talk about the data or you can get information on how to do things inside the application. And as a part of this effort, we're now going to go back through our documentation, and it's more important than ever that our documentation is up to date.
That's really awesome, Leron. Wow.
I want to know what Ben thinks of this. Ben, is this going to replace managed SaaS alerts? You think people will see a drift in people who have chosen that service to answer a lot of these questions for them and do it on their own rather than have the service team do it?
I think it'll definitely help. I think the managed platform, the value will really be in the rules and detections that we start to build, like really build out and update more frequently. But yeah, it's definitely a help. The Fortify is the biggest time consuming part of our offering, and just being able to do that and know, uh, if they do apply this control, what does that mean for my customer? I think that's the biggest question that usually goes unanswered.
Andy.
Question, Leron, are you looking to add, let's say that I'm interrogating or looking at a prospective customer. If I wanted to say, how could I increase their Fortify score and what licensing recommendations would be necessary at different levels to actually create, to do that analysis and to give me that report so that I could take that to a customer more succinctly instead of having to
Andy,
recreate?
the short answer is yes. We are working on it. It's super secret and more to come on that, but that is absolutely the direction that we're going in. Everything you just said.
Okay.
But I'll answer that a different way, Andy, and say that that report is already available in the reports module.
Well,
Yeah.
I get that it's available. What I'm attempting to do is have it so that this becomes more of, okay, get me the SaaS alerts piece, get me, any other aspect, like, I might be running a vulnerability assessment. Let's bring it all together and then let's make an executive summary for all of this.
The Chip, the reporting capabilities that we're looking at producing allow you to basically chat with your agent and uncover a bunch of different things, and then tell the agent, great, now write me a customer facing report out of everything we just talked about. And it'll give you a PDF that you can then print out and go to your customer. So
And this is
not,
across all the platforms for Kaseya that we have a subscription to, or just SaaS alerts at the moment?
this is just, I can only speak to SaaS alerts.
Okay.
Leron,
That's it.
so Ron has a question here. Can you talk about the benefits of Fortify versus Entra Backup Restore? Microsoft released 2 days ago for P1, P2 license holders. Does not appear to have security configuration recommendation capabilities.
I will give you an overview, but Fortify is now so advanced that Amanda is the product manager that owns that. But I will tell you that Fortify was specifically designed because, as you know, we talked about this earlier in the call, defense in depth or concentric layers of security. So initially, SaaS Alerts told you when Chip logged in outside approved location. And then in its next iteration, it was, okay, if Chip just logged in from Argentina, block Chip. And then we're looking at all this and we're saying, well, why did that happen in the first place? And we wanted a simple way to present our customers what their Microsoft security posture was. There's the concept of a Microsoft Secure Score. We expose that. Microsoft has security recommendations. We enumerate those for you, and whatever is possible to execute via programmatically via API, you can now click instead of follow the Microsoft instructions to do that. So in a nutshell, that's what Fortify does. But regarding the question that you just posed on Entra ID, I'm going to ask Amanda to chime in.
Sorry. So we don't currently have a full backup, right? So, but we do already kind of do restore and backup if you use snapshots or templates, right? So if I use a snapshot and I pull down the Entra settings, I now have that, and you can, that's technically a backup, right? You can't restore from it per se, but what we do is every night we sync to it. So whatever we can, we will reapply, or in the overnight job, anything that you have applied. And so in that case, any of those policies will be reapplied continuously. So to speak though to what they specifically released the other day, I don't have enough to talk to that. We have a few more Entra snapshot types that we have in the backlog that we'll be releasing in the next few months, in order to support all the different Entra settings that you can configure on your tenant.
And just my final piece here on the agent, we really hope that this also helps with onboarding. So you see here, I asked, help me onboard. What do I need to do? And again, we need to review the documentation to make it better and stronger. But rather than reading, like the way that I like to consume information is just like this. I like to ask questions. I don't want to watch a video. I don't want to read 12 pages of stuff. I want you to walk me through this step by step. And so if I'm doing this, I'm going to start what this is going to look like. And then I'm going to say, wonderful, now give this to me step by step. And let's do this step by step. And then I'm going to go through and do the onboarding the way that I want to do it instead of other ways.
Leron, do you envision at some point it'll be video option as well? Like, here's, someone walking through the setup, even like taking people through step by step.
Not using Sora.
That for sure.
You mean like embed a video in here, Andrew? That's like, hey, this is, step 7, here's a video how to do that? Or do you mean
No, you embed the cyber call or a SaaS alerts call.
Yeah. No,
We-
no, that's what I meant, Leron, because people are so driven by video these days, and it could help just easier adoption. That's all.
I'm sure we could potentially embed videos in here if we wanted to. Yes.
Cool. Really well done, man. What's the design group looking like? How many do you have? Are you looking for more? Is it pretty much closed off at this point, Leron?
We're always looking for more. I mean, we have like a dozen or so, I'd say, at the moment. Um, so if you guys are interested in giving this a test drive, please reach out to Beyond, who is on this call, or just raise your hand in chat. Whatever it is you do, just let it be known that you are interested. And one of the things that we also need to do is we need to understand kind of what the user behavior looks like. Like how many messages per day are you guys actually sending when you're using this? Do you actually find it useful? Things like that.
Very cool. Great job, Leron. Yeah, and congrats on leading the charge in Kaseya to, adopt your coding models. All right. No Adam today?
Yeah,
It
Adam
was
is
good.
on vacation.
Guy just takes it easy, doesn't he, Chip? All the time. Um, all right. Let's go back here. Okay, Ben, I just put this up every week. Any updates on this at Connect in terms of doing the SaaS Alerts training, certification? Do you guys have any updates on that? Anything new from your side?
Yeah, it's definitely getting done. It's going to be, I think, an all-day course. Cover everything from A to Z, and if we have time, we'll even do some API. But Tim White, I don't know if you met him while we were at Write a Boom, but he'll be kind of leading it, and I'll be in the background helping him out.
Okay, awesome. Included in registration, extra, do you know yet?
Oh, no clue.
Okay. Okay.
Wish I did.
All right. Fantastic. All right, let's get into some of the weekend cyber here. I'll put the URL in. Field Effect released their threat report, and I'm just going to put that in there. That takes you right to it. And did a really good job. No surprises here, though, in terms of what the dominant attack surface was, as usual, based on the 6, 7 other threat reports that we've looked at. Identity dominated, and in terms of specificity, over 80%, as well. I think, where is it here? Yeah. What was I just kind of highlighted here again, Leron, I think Chip's offline, right? Or he was, I'm coming to you. Just the cloud centric attacks is what they called out, right? This is I think typifies, M365 and the SaaS based applications that everybody's using. So that was their big call out initially. One other thing, I just want to make, I just continue to bring this up because this is where, Corey's advice to us all the time too. And, this, for whatever reason, I'm seeing a trend that is a little bit troubling, and that is, I'm seeing some MSPs, with stack consolidation. And I think stack consolidation is very important for a number of reasons. But moving to vulnerability scannings that are only agent based, built into whether it's their endpoint solution, RMM solution, and that is going to open up tremendous um, gaps in visibility. Corey, what are your thoughts on that? I don't know if you've heard that trend, but if you can't put agents on your firewalls and your VPNs and routers and TP-Link that just had a massive compromise as well. What are your thoughts on that from your perspective?
Um, Yeah, I mean, everybody's looking for the next potential thing. I mean, again, I'm just gonna keep dying on this hill and beating that dead horse, right? That adversaries aren't doing anything super sophisticated and super new. They're leveraging everything that's already available to them, that's publicly exposed, and hygiene. That's where everybody. That's where the majority of us are falling short of just not doing the right thing. So we can start looking at, you know, alternatives. We can start looking at what we're doing, but it always will start with hygiene, no matter
Yeah.
what. I mean, it's just what we're dealing with.
Yeah. I mean, the whole simplification, like sometimes, yes, it's great to simplify your stack. Yes, it's great for this, but if you have huge visibility gaps, that's
Yes,
all
no, I
I'm
mean
suggesting.
it's true. Like you can't go out there, and yes, we want to keep adding, and it's part of our like. I hope you like our threat report when it comes out. I don't know, it's totally different than what we're used to, but um, ours is we're talking about like those seven deadly sins, and one of them is I can't remember which one it falls under, but we're trying to follow and buy the next shiniest tool, and we just keep throwing more and more tools in place to help take care of our issues, but we can't properly support them. We're not so simplifying. There's a huge ability and huge advantage to simplifying. But then again, there's that double-edged sword, that risk of are you overly simplifying? But I've always been a firm component of don't just keep buying new tools if you don't know how to properly implement them.
Yeah. That
You
was a
know,
big thing. That was a
I
big
love to,
thing. I was just gonna say that was a big thing Ryan Weeks used to beat into
yeah.
people, if you recall, like nonstop. Um, how, he's like, before you buy another tool, can we just like, let's talk about how much the
Yeah.
current platform you've implemented and
What
you're
are you
using.
currently doing and how are you currently doing it? I've always loved application whitelisting throughout my whole career. I love application whitelisting. But what a lot of people don't understand is how much is involved in properly implementing that and not just buying it and opening up a huge hole in that. So, like, you start looking at companies like ThreatLocker, which I love ThreatLocker, but it's not as hands off as like marketing will tell you. Oh, you can get application whitelisting. And so I talk to MSPs like, oh, we're going to get ThreatLocker. I'm like, oh, it's a great solution. Do you have someone dedicated to it? Because it's not just a set it and forget it. You're going to have to constantly be analyzing it. You're going to have to put change control in place because you don't want one guy just opening up more and more and more and more holes in your environment. Because otherwise, you'd have that tool that's doing absolutely nothing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks for that, Corey. Um, Let me see here. Did I messed? Okay, let me just jump here. Just bring this in a little bit. So, just a quick again shout out to Chip and Leron for coming on the cyber call this week. If you didn't catch it, I'm going to put the URL momentarily in chat, and I highly suggest you watch it. It's based on this uh, compromise or attack. I'm not able to send due to admin restrictions. Well, sent it anyway. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, good. Um, and again, Leron, maybe just if you could just give the quick summary here of what that attack was about, and then we'll move on to this, light LLM that's going on now. But I thought this was really just like a wow, like this was nothing crazy for an attacker to accomplish.
Yeah, so the high level on this is this company has a GitHub repository where anybody can post issues, and they have an AI agent that picks those issues and works those issues. And okay, so like number one, don't do that. And number two is um, there was a prompt injection attack, which basically said, hey, like we found this issue. And then it gave a whole bunch of instructions of what to do. And then the AI agent picked it up and executed those instructions. And part of those instructions basically corrupted core code of a VS Code extension. And then developers updated that extension, right? Because when you get an update on your phone or whatever, it's like you need to update. You're like, oh, okay, well, update. And because it was corrupted, because it was compromised, thanks to this prompt injection, it gave the attacker the ability to, well, the attack actually installed 4,000 OpenClaw instances and these 4,000 machines while this bad code was out there. I don't think anything was done. I think that hackers are just kind of doing proof of concepts and exploring attack vectors at this time, but certainly having an OpenClaw machine somewhere where it is not intended is very scary. And the thing that makes this really difficult is even if you had code scanning in place, your code scanner is going to go in and say, "Oh, you're installing OpenClaw. Let me look at that." Yeah, like it claims to be OpenClaw. It is in fact OpenClaw. Let's let it ride on through, right? So the attack vector here is nobody really ever asked, should we actually be installing this thing? Or at the prompt injection level, the agent maybe tried its best to figure out if it was a prompt injection, but there was never really any mechanism in place that said, this is what this issue is requesting to do. Do you actually want me to do this? Everything just kind of happened automatically.
And I think the key takeaway, Leron, just one more thing for you to share with the group that to give them a little solace is what, your big takeaway was and what you're implementing so that, all the MSPs on this know how you're looking at, your change control process and what you will and won't allow and approve moving
Sure.
forward.
So as soon as this happened, my mind immediately went to, okay, well, how would we stop something like this? And for the record, like we don't do this. We don't have AI agents automatically pick things up and just work them, and nor do we publicly expose anything that would allow anybody to do this. But what I started building was a skill inside of Claude Code that allows us to scan whatever it is that we plan to install. And then, Andrew, you shared another article, which we'll talk about shortly, with Light LLM. And I went back to my skill and I'm like, well, I'm not going to get less of these. So let me modify my skill so I can just feed it URLs of attacks and it'll give me what the attack chain looks like, evaluate whether my skill would have stopped it. And if the answer is no, how do we modify the skill so that it stops it? Now, this is a very developer centric thing. When we were on the cyber call, you had asked me, what is like your nightmare scenario? What keeps you up at night? And the nightmare scenario is a poisoned NPM package, right? So developers frequently go in and they're like, oh, I need to display a chart somewhere. Let me just import a library that can just do the charts for me. And there's like scanning mechanisms and whatnot in place. But today, with everyone doing things like the original attack we talked about, it's not that hard to imagine downloading a poisoned package on your machine, and now you're basically exposed. So to make a long story short, I'm building a skill that we're going to test with our team that number one scans everything that you have as far as packages, compares it, right? And the first attack that we talked about, there was like a typo in the GitHub link, and that's how they were able to maliciously send it. So basically, it just looks at what happens and tries to prevent it, and then I can just feed it articles of new attack vectors and then modify the skill on an ongoing basis so that when a developer installs a package moving forward, it'll ask them, hey, this package is also installing these other things. Do you want these other things too? That's the short of it.
Cool. Andy, one sec. I just it's really cool, Leon. It's almost like you're building your own like red teaming solution internally to, keep up with the attacks and, have a change control to say, hey, this could be bad. Don't let it through. So good for you. It's really amazing and creative. Andy.
Leron, I'm thinking of this as like managing developers as managing users. Why? I think you kind of need both the skill to detect like an antivirus, but also a skill to say only these are approved.
We have
And
that as
yeah,
part of it, Andy.
all right.
There's an allow list.
Yeah.
And if it's on the allow list, it lets it through. And if it's not, that's when it goes through its scanning. There's still some scanning that takes place on the allow list because if something that you allow gets poisoned, like light LLM, for instance,
Yeah.
you still need to validate that it's legitimate.
Yeah, that's where I was ultimately getting to, is that because AI is changing that to just the prompts that can be manipulated, it's almost like you need another tier to this to look at what's feeding through or how it's responding overall.
Well, for whatever it's worth, I fed the Klein attack and the light LLM attack through the skill, and
Uh-huh.
it would have theoretically caught both of them.
Good.
So, Chip, we can definitely talk about LexisNexis. I was just wanting to talk about if I could have you take the floor and just because really literally coming out of the cyber call, maybe an hour later, this came across. I just wanted to ask you and Leron some questions about this, and if that's okay with you guys, this light LLM. So, just in the sense of, just to get everybody on the fairway here that isn't like, and not everybody's developers, right? Like, what is light LLM, and what does this open source library do?
Honestly, Andrew, I don't even know. I brought the Monday cyber call topic to you, over last weekend because it's something that's been keeping me up at night for a while. I've been reading about these library poisonings. Some of them, it's not just no NPM, it's also Python, almost anything that any repository or project that you could download from GitHub, I think should be suspicious right now. All open source software, or just about every software product in the market that has a SaaS like delivery mechanism, it's a browser-based product, is using open source libraries somewhere.
Yeah.
And I asked about the Nexus Lexus thing because I didn't know if you were going to bring it up anyway in your week in cyber, but on our weekly risk review call this morning, I brought it up and talked about it. We talked about this topic. And I said to the guys in our Teams channel that, like, I don't lose sleep over stuff, but I do wake up almost every morning because my morning routine is always cyber reading first. And I'm always scared. I literally am that I'm going to see a headline about SaaS alerts. Like, there is so much risk being introduced in with the capability of hackers to use AI tools to really, really rapidly evolve their attacks. Like GitHub has always had its problems. There's always been junk, GitHub repositories that you could get yourself in trouble with if you pulled them down. But they were done, slowly and over time, and it took people a while to figure out how to obfuscate the code and make it work. And now we're just moving in a whole new pace, and I don't know how we keep up with it. Like, if we didn't have somebody like Leron, working inside of our business, um, we'd be in trouble. Like he's as on top of this as anybody I know. So I don't need to know what Light LLM does. We don't use it. I know that much. But I know that the vector applies to every single piece of open source libraries that's out there in the wild. And every application that you guys log into is using open source libraries to build and manage their products.
Yeah.
So, an AI gateway is right. Like if you want to build an application, you have to build an API to Anthropic, OpenAI, whatever, 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 and that is a pain. So something like this gives you one API that you basically connect to, and then in the background, it talks to all of them independently the way that they need to be talked to.
It's like a log4j, if you will, when we talk about libraries, though. Not this one in particular. I'm talking about what Chip just mentioned, Leron, where log4j, it's like at scale now. And like this one, 3.4 million downloads a day, 95 million the last month. So to Chip's point, at scale, and it seems again the attacks, Chip, really, like Corey said, they're different, but they're the same. It's living off the land, right? I mean, this is supply chain. Supposedly, this is a good thing. I'm using it day in and day out. It's helping my business. And as kind of Leron indicated in the previous attack, oh, it's OpenClaw, you're okay, right? Come on in. And, I think that's where part of the scariness is, right, Chip? This,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as I said in the cyber call, I really wonder if this is going to change the open source model. Like right now, the way open source functions is somebody contributes a great new, feature functionality library that anyone can use. And the rest of the community, people who are knowledgeable about that same functionality, can contribute their own code to that and improve it. And those PRs come in, and in theory there's a team of other open source people who are working on that project and contributing, who review the code for functionality and safety and security. The oversight of software safety, the whole idea behind open source is to make that a community effort of people who are interested because of their use of the product and want to offer their goodwill and their expertise to keep it safe. And that's being invaded by what's going on here, because you can iterate it so fast that the community can't keep up with the possibilities, and you can obfuscate code that people don't actually see on their screen, that's hidden in in the newly updated PR that came through. Uh, so they think they've seen everything. It looks good to them. Next guy downloads the library, executes it. It can do anything from just be a chunk of malware, well, you just use that term, on its own, or it can reach back down the chain of other dependencies that this library depends on, and embed something 6 steps away that no one even looked at.
well, that,
So, I just wonder, where this is going to go. Like there was a time when there was no such thing as open source software. Everything was closed sourced, and you had to depend upon the integrity of the vendor. I'm talking about 1990s here, right? Everyone depended upon the integrity of Microsoft. And then you got to code signing, and we've gradually moved through, and then open source took over the world in terms of, hey, this is how we do safety. And now the guys that are trying to really destroy the ecosystem of SaaS software are coming right in the front door, and leveraging. I was going to get political for a second there. I changed my mind. They're taking the democratization, and the open trust that's been established in the entire open source community, and they're using it against the community to destroy the community. Is that making sense?
yeah, a lot. Yeah. This is, and this wasn't, again, this one wasn't, I'm not a coder, but the way they described it wasn't overly uh, complex, and just was a massive data exfiltration exercise. Um, so yeah, pretty scary stuff. Um, can you debrief us a little bit, Chip, on the LexisNexis? I didn't get a chance, and then we'll go to Ben.
Yeah, I forgot to send that to you this morning. Again, this was in my morning reading, but LexisNexis got hacked. Anybody using their services lost tons of PII, about what they. I assume everyone on this call knows what LexisNexis is. It's research service for all kinds of stuff. But the
Mainly
thing about
legal,
it that
right,
just
Chip?
jumps out is one of the primary reasons is basic hygiene, like what Corey talks about all the time, you talk about all the time, Andrew. There was an admin password that was like LexisNexis 1234 used across the platform in a
It's
cloud solution. I mean,
SolarWinds
just
all over, right?
yeah, exactly. It's just amazing to me. And I bring these things up on this call and send them to you, Andrew, because I just think it's important. You know, MSPs have constant customer conversations, and any chance they get to point out the basics, that the basics still aren't being done right, gives them, I think a conversation opportunity with their clients on why they need to continue to pay attention to and upgrade security. Defense in depth we talked about earlier, like it's just a never-ending conversation. And you know, even though this is really simple, there's nothing sexy about it. Well, there's a few things sexy about it if you read the article, because it does get deeper. But the basics are just a stupid password that's been banging around unchanged. In a how big a company is LexisNexis? I don't even know. A couple $100 billion a year in revenue.
Or
Crazy.
yeah, yep, for sure. Um, all right, and then let's close, not close up, but let's talk real quick here with Mr. Ben. Ben, you here you go. Get the vibe coding award for this week.
I don't know if that's a good award from everybody from the talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to let you take over, but congrats again. Your channel is really blowing up, like 3,200 subscribers, and I went right to the merch. I want to know about that if we have time at the end.
Well, Google's like, you need to create some shirts or something. So I just like created some funny little shirts with AI. I haven't touched it in a while, but no, like my whole channel was really like designed to look at open source software and kind of review it and see, which ones are good, how to install them and everything. But what I'm noticing is kind of what Chip was saying was the open source community is being flooded with essentially almost the same types of software. It's that nobody's like looking to see what's out there. They're just making their own and just throwing it out there. So then it just becomes so diluted with like you don't know how many file sharing applications have been vibe coded and put out there. I'm like, come on, man, it's file sharing. But I came up with this idea a long time ago, before AI was a thing, and I never got around to hiring a developer to help me make it, which when I was at my MSP, we would always uh, send out like physical installation guys to, just to go out on site so that we could remote into their machines and do diagnostic work. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if there was a simple, small, cheap device that you could put out there like a Raspberry Pi that you would always have access to it and be able to perform different scans and everything was built in and it relayed that information back to like a web server. So I thought about it and talked about my friends, and then like AI came along, and I was like, Leron would have these calls every Friday, these like rabbit hole calls where they would talk about how to use Claude and everything to build your own program. So I said, well, I'm going to give it a shot. I spent maybe 3 or 4 hours telling Claude what I want, testing it, creating Docker, deploying agents, and in the end, it was a functional product like that worked pretty consistently. And it's amazing that AI has went from a service that couldn't write a PowerShell script to save its life to being able to create everything from like the website, the client, and everything else. So this is something I whipped up, and it's basically all this 100% was vibe coded. Like I have coded zero into this, and it made everything from an API container to the UI container, the back, the database, the worker containers that handle a lot of the processes, 100%. And I've also had it repeatedly check for security vulnerabilities, which it finds and it fixes, and also bugs as well. So to show you just a quick little thing about it, this is a little machine that I have going, and I just I put the agent up on there, and it's downloaded everything about the agent, tells me everything about it. I can perform various little scans, like network scans. I'll try to zoom in here a little bit. And all of it communicates its information, its reports back to the server. So I didn't realize I was building an RMM until it referenced it, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because it's not really my goal was to make one of those. There's already a ton of them out there. I just wanted something simple that you could do, like just basic network scans, vulnerability, maybe Active Directory enumeration, things of that nature. Thankfully, I showed this to a couple people last SASE call, I believe. And Enrique came up with a couple of ideas for me. He's like, I would love to be able to know everything about a Windows like machine. And I was like, well, I'm not going to build a Windows client because that really is crossing the line into RMM. I was like, but I wonder what I could pull from the network if I just had the credentials. So using WinRM and credentials, it can perform and download like everything about the machine from like CPU usage, memory usage, hard drive space, installed applications, password policies. If I had something to show you, I would, but feel free to check out the video too. It also can do an Active Directory scan, pull down pretty much everything about AD. And these are all using open source tools like Nmap and Wireshark to accomplish this. But yeah, it does a whole bunch of stuff. Every single time I think I'm done with it, I end up adding something else. Like I wanted an uptime monitor that I could put in here to monitor if the server goes down. And I even asked Claude, I said, hey, what am I missing here? And he said, you know what you're missing is you're missing alerts. Something goes down. How are they going to know? I was like, that's a great idea. So we added alerts through email or through webhooks. If you have a Discord server or something, or Slack or Teams, it can send that over to you and certain things happen.
So Andy, one second. So, Chip, when you see this and how quick, Ben's like, I didn't use any development. I just willed it into existence. Um, Threat actors obviously can do the same, right? Is that part of your concern that we're talking about as, we're talking about those other attacks?
Yeah, it's that's certainly a concern, Andrew, but I'm also I'm given a lot of hope by the fact that the the iterative pace of pushing back against the threat actors and creating tools to prevent the successful exploitation of knowledge workers is far easier than it's ever been. I mean, I see what's, by the way, this is the first time I've seen Ben's done this. So Ben must have been hiding this for the cyber call, waiting to see what my reaction would be. But my reaction is this is awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that anybody that's in the product business should be thinking of themselves that, you know what, we don't have to wait 2 or 3 or 5 years to completely refactor our product with new technology and rethink it and reimagine it and repurpose it. So I just think it accelerates our ability to move so much faster in bringing better things to the market and enhancing what we've already created.
So last question, I'll go to Andy after this. That's kind of where I was going, Chip, like this. Is there any reason why Jen Easterly's Secure by Design can't be imagined when we have these powerful tools and people go, well, it's tech debt. It's, we can't do it. It's going to take too, is that excuse going to get old?
I don't think the excuse holds up.
Got it. Andy.
This question's for Ben. How long did it take you to get this operational? Because I'm looking at this from from AI being in clients and having someone create something that I don't know how to monitor or manage ultimately if they're
Yeah.
using AI.
Don't worry, they won't do that, Andy.
No, I'm just saying it could be anything that I can't even imagine what
I'm
this just
totally
shows
kidding.
me.
I'm
So
kidding.
how much effort went into this for you?
A fair amount, but I mean, like
Would you
as far
say
as
this is like more
hours
than
are
40 hours?
concerned, I would say this is probably closer to like 24 actual out working hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
hold on
that.
though, Ben, because you've put the last 18 months of your life into upskilling on AI usage. I mean, it's not like you started,
True.
you didn't jump out of a box not knowing anything about AI and then put
I'm
24
trying to
hours.
think about macro hard,
Yeah.
if you think about that, and that is that people will be able to create something by just putting this in. And how do we track it? How do we know that it hasn't introduced? I
Andy,
mean, all
that's
these.
an
Yeah.
excellent concern. And when AI vibe coding first came out, I saw a post on X and somebody said something like, go onto GitHub, type in star.env, do a search, and you're welcome. Because people that, like, if you just have people that don't know what they're doing, go start building things, the AI agent is going to stick tokens and things where they don't belong, like in the code. You're going to put that in a public repo. And so that is a very, very valid concern, Andy. If you have customers that are just vibe coding things, sticking them out there, and they don't think security and things like that, they could be exposed.
Well, they
So
are,
this is a new
Leron. I mean,
product,
we see
guys.
people exposing secrets like crazy
Yeah.
on
No,
GitHub
I'm totally
projects.
with you. I'm worried someone's going to have, hey, their kid comes home from college after being 2 or 3 years in programming, and they're going to implement something that makes their business so much more productive, and we may not even know about it because we don't have a way to look for it. So, Chuck, I'm saying there is an opportunity here for SaaS alerts to begin to help us look for this kind of information,
So let me
this
close with
kind of activity.
Yeah, I know we're at the top of the hour. Andy,
Sorry.
no, don't be sorry. We just had that, security leadership workshop we kicked off. It's really interesting. One of the use cases of the MSP, they'll go name us, his client, who's in the medical industry, CEO, somewhat technical. You'll love this, Chip. So tons of PII. The billing, right, was slower, than he liked it. Long story short, he used an LLM to completely automate the billing and this and that and the other. Um, Meanwhile, exposing all the patient data.
Brilliant.
Not
Andy,
funny, but
He may not be a CEO any longer.
yeah, but my point to Andy, right, Chip, is it's not just the college kid coming home. Now, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's any executive that thinks he's got a better idea and he's done a little bit of work to figure out how to vibe code. Andy,
Well,
I want to bring up,
go
I
ahead.
want to make one statement that we almost never talk about on this call that MSPs have to start talking about with their customers. And what you called out is insider risk.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a topic that MSPs typically get into because, we're dealing with small companies and they think they know everybody really well. And but even at a 50-person company, you can find yourself in a situation where you've got significant insider risk. Maybe it didn't start off as malicious. It started off as a guy like Ben that just decided to build a tool. So, look, this is scary. You can take my word for it that this is possible because I've done it. You can build an entire network operating system from scratch with Claude Code.
Yeah.
A brand new OS that's never been anywhere else in the world, and you can do it. So we've got a lot more crazy stuff coming down the pike at us.
No kidding.
all right, everybody, be safe. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Nick.
Yes.